I'm competing in a 5-round outdoor go-karting championship. Our first round was a bit messy with an underpowered car and horrible weather, but we managed to bring it home in P7. Round 2 was spicy until I hit a back marker and ran off the track, losing loads of time and finishing P9. But round 3 saw me collect my first ever racing podium and put us back up to P7 in the overall standings. So can we go one better in round 4? Let's find out. Hello and welcome back to Three Sisters Wigan for round 4 of the Three Sisters 3S30. As you can see from round 3, we are just 1 point behind 6th place. And so it begins. Let's head out onto the track for qualifying. The conditions are absolutely glorious. It's a beautiful summer's evening. We've got a dry track with all the grip at our disposal. But on the outlap, I started to have second thoughts about my kart.
This doesn't feel workable. Maybe it is, I don't know.
Yeah, it felt a little odd, but we were under yellow flag still, so I had to wait until the track went green before I could get a true feel.
Go.
The kart felt good through the corners. I could really hustle it through Luna here, but it just felt like we were down on power on the straight. The last thing I want to do is be one of those guys though who just, kicks off if they don't get an absolute rocket ship of a kart. And we had a really good kart in the last round, so maybe my expectations are just a bit too high here. Regardless, even though it's qualifying, we've come out in a bunch of traffic and we're actually having a little battle with these guys as we head onto the Conrod Straight. And it was about now that I noticed that my Delta wasn't working properly. I'd forgotten to switch my app back over to the GPS, so it was actually running off the phone's GPS and it was stuttering something like mad, which didn't really help. I had no idea how quick I was going out here.
Oh, mate, actually, you know what? It feels okay. I think I'm going to struggle off the line, but it feels pretty good.
Yeah, as I say there, the car actually felt pretty good through the corners. It was nice and planted. I could lean on it a lot and carry quite a bit of speed, but it just felt a little down on the straights to me, and I felt like I couldn't really punch it out of the exits the way that I wanted to. But all the karts at Three Sisters have slightly different characteristics. Some are absolute rockets on the straight, but awful through the corners, and then some are not as good on the straights, but really fast through the corners. So you've just got to kind of take what you're given and try and race it the best you can. So I just put all the thoughts of swapping karts to the back of my mind and just tried to focus on getting as good a lap as possible and finding out where I stacked up later on. And to be honest, looking back now, I think that was a bit of a mistake. Obviously hindsight is a wonderful thing, but I crossed over the checkered flag, no idea how I'd done, no idea what sort of a lap I'd actually put together. And then as we got brought round to the grid, I eventually found out the qualifying order and we were way down. I'd only qualified 10th, 1.1 second behind the guys at the front, which didn't set me up particularly well for a great race, but mistakes are made, you got to learn from them, and I've just got to do the best I can now in the race. It looks like I wasn't the only one who'd had a bad kart though. Jason had qualified all the way down in P13 and he's usually really quick, as we exchanged gestures about how great our karts were on the start grid. But points aren't handed out after qualifying, they're handed out after the race, and we have got a big one ahead of us. The lights go green and we are away. We don't get a particularly great start, but to be honest, I was kind of expecting that. So we go around the outside of turn 1, which will then turn into the inside of turn 2. We've dropped 3 positions. Jason's got ahead of us there, and we've got 1 back, but the guy's still on our outside. We've got the inside line into this left-hander before Luna. We go down the inside of car number 20. We're back up into P11 now. Can we sit in the draft of Jason ahead, who's kart number 6? This is the section of the track that I was dreading, to be honest, this long back straight. You can see everyone ahead is gapping us. And I'm just checking over my shoulder here just to make sure no one's got a run and no one's sending it down the inside as we go into the S's. We do get a much better run through the S's than Jason, and we're right on his tail as we head through this left-hander and down towards the final corner of Joey Dunlop. I go about 42 miles too deep into that last corner, missed my braking point by ages, but somehow we managed to get a decent exit and we're right on Jason's tail as we end the first lap. I'm very conscious that I don't want to fight him at this point. We need to stick together, we need to work together and try and close up to the guys ahead who are battling and costing each other time. Through Luna, the karts ahead are side by side, and we get a much better run than Jason and give him a little bump draft and try and push him down the straight. But you can see how down on power I am. I'm right in the slipstream of Jason, and he's just driving away from me. Checking over my shoulders because I've got a feeling that some people will be catching us up on this straight, but it's all good. And you can see here the different characteristics of these two karts. Mine is much better through the corners. To be fair to Jason, his isn't that much better on the straights. But he goes defensive into the final corner, which is not really what I wanted. I wanted to try and push him through there. We draw alongside him onto the start-finish straight, and I just point ahead. He gives me a little wave to acknowledge that he's understood. We're going to try and work together and catch up to these. There's no point us battling each other because we're just going to drop further and further back. Through Luna on lap 3, and we close right up to Jason and give him a little nudge on the bumper. This is the bump drafting plan coming into action, but to be honest, I just can't really get close enough. I'm barely touching the back of his kart, but there's not really any pressure and I'm not pushing him forwards anymore. He goes deep into the S's, and I just think at this point I'm going to have to try and go past him because he's struggling so much through the corners that we're both dropping back anyway. He did later tell me that his kart was so unstable that he was actually having to touch the brakes through Luna, which is normally a small lift, or sometimes if you're a lighter driver it's even flat out. So as we cross the line to go onto lap 4, we've got past Jason, and I'm just desperate to try and cling on to these 3 karts ahead. If I can get into their slipstream, I might have just a small chance to stay with them. It's a long shot, but we've got to give it a go. Unfortunately, I think it was just a bit too hopeful, that, because as we jump forward another couple of laps, I'm deploying human DRS down this back straight. I'm literally putting my head in my lap, trying to get as little air resistance on this thing as possible. But the guys ahead are just pulling away from us a little bit at a time, and I just can't hang on to them.
Great. Come on then. We're not quick enough to catch them ourselves, but if we battle.
The problem was they were battling quite a lot, but the gap between us was just getting bigger and bigger.
Oh, quite blue. No, it's a straight pass.
At this point, I was literally giving it everything, pushing the kart to the maximum, taking the maximum amount of track extension I possibly could into this first corner. I was going all the way over to the right there, so close to those cones, just to try and open up the corner as much as I could and carry more speed. And I was regularly gaining a tenth or two through this first section, but as soon as we got onto that back straight, the advantage would drop away and I'd be a few tenths down by the time we got to the S's. I fought really hard to try and not be despondent in the kart, but all the signs were pointing towards a bit of a lonely race towards P10.
Wow, there's a big gap. Bring it home, I guess. Pick up the pieces if anyone else messes up, that's about it.
For a big chunk of this race, it genuinely felt like I was the only one on track, apart from this back marker who was going about 20 seconds a lap slower than everyone else. We passed her quite a lot, but apart from that, it almost felt like people had gone home. And try as I might, when I was all by myself with no slipstream, I just couldn't go quicker.
Oh, I need a slipstream!
I think maybe I need to work on my mental game for these kinds of races, because as the laps ticked by and I just couldn't even get near my personal best, I just lost all the time down the straight. Started to lose it a little bit.
Watch my salsa. No!
But mid-mental breakdown, I did actually notice one thing which might turn this evening around.
I'm catching people! I'm in the property line. No, whatever. I saw people. Let's race. What? I've been so lonely.
And even though these guys are a couple of laps down, I'm still relishing the thought of actually, racing people on a track. We go past car number 1 into turn 1. That was quite nice. and then we are right behind kart number 10. Are we going to try and set up a move into Luna? He's going to run a little bit deep into this left-hander. He leaves the space on the outside. We're going to take it. He runs a bit wide, gives us a clunk. We're going to try and hold it around the outside. He's still on the inside of the corner, so I can't close him off. And as we pull onto the Conrod straight, he's got a better drive than me. He's got more top speed. I took into his slipstream to see if I can follow him through, but he's a bit quicker than me. He does run into the S's a bit too deep though. He can't carry the same speed we can. Throw it down the inside and we are through. I've got my eyes on the guy ahead. Maybe if we line this up just perfectly, he'll give me a slipstream down the Conrod straight and we could even go for a personal best lap time.
Please give me a tow. Where are you going?
That didn't work out, but instead we're going to go for the move into the final corner. I genuinely wasn't really thinking about diving there, but he braked so much earlier that I kind of had to send it to avoid just going into the back of him. Anyways, that's our fun over. We kept lapping, kept our head down. I probably went a bit more crazy. And then the camera died with only a couple of laps to go. I promise you though, you're not missing much. Ah, man. That really wasn't how I wanted that round to go, especially after the P2 last time. But I think P10 honestly was our maximum there unless someone messed up. Thanks to our consistency though, we have gained a place overall in the championship. We're now up to P6 with one round left to go. And look how tight it is between P2 and P5. It's nuts. But that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.